Elisa Sherman, and I'm the CEO of Ellementa. I'm also the author of the book, Cannabis and CBD for Health and Wellness, co-authored with the most awesome Dr. June Chin. Right now, we are going to be talking about essential oils. But just so you know, we do these Wednesday and Sunday events, always at 12 noon Pacific time or 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll let you do your own time zone figuring out. And these are focused on wellness, particularly women's wellness, or wellness for our families and our loved ones, because often we're the ones who are taking care of everybody around us. But we mostly need to focus on taking care of ourselves. We're all in strange times. Our lives are very different from about 3 months ago. And this is the time for us to learn, to explore different modalities and different types of wellness. And it's a great time to meet these experts and authors who I am so lucky to be able to host. So now we begin. I don't really read bios. I think it's so much better to hear more about each expert straight from them. So Michele Finn, nice to see you, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Elisa. Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. So I'm Michele Finn with Jubilee of Wellness, and I launched my independent line of CBD and essential oils 2 years ago. And I did that in the middle of caring for my mother. She had acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and it came on very quickly. And I had just started playing with essential oils, just making sugar scrubs, making gifts, and fell in love with them. I was like, wait a minute, I can open a bottle and inhale, and like my whole world changes, you know? And I wanted to share that with the entire world. And so as I got to playing with them, and again, making gifts was really how I got started. My mom was diagnosed with leukemia. So I was quickly able to shift from making gifts and just kind of having fun with them to like studying, you know, and finding the science. And sometimes it really is very simple. Lavender really does help most people relax.
My favorite.
Yes. And so even though I was a newbie, it honestly changed the course of my mom's healing. You know, I mean, she's when her cancer came on, it came on so quickly. She was like almost gone, like overnight, and before we knew what was happening. Yeah. So she went from like, we knew she wasn't feeling great, but we weren't sure what was going on, to in the hospital, hey, it's cancer and it's going to be a doozy. So, so like in her hospital room, you know, I was able to put lavender on her pillow to help her sleep. I was able to spray her room with like frankincense and orange to, you know, inspire her. And even the nurses would come into the room and they would just take a big whiff and go, oh, this is so nice. What are you doing? What do you have in here?
Wow,
you know?
great.
Yes, so it changed the game, even as a newbie. So that was about 5 years ago. And so I just started diving into the science. You know, I was like, I want to know everything, and I want legit sources, and how to make sugar scrubs isn't going to work for me. You know, I need to go further into the knowledge base. So I ended up finding the aromatherapy community, and just like you can geek out on, you know, anything, whether it's astronomy or astrology or, you know, there's aromatherapists that they can tell you every molecule that's within lavender, you know? So I have just really, really enjoyed it. And during that time, I've made connections, because I reached out to these people and I was like, hey, I would like some advice. You know, this is what I'm trying to do. And within that time, I just made some connections that allowed me to eventually launch my own business.
That's fantastic. So say the name of your business again.
Jubilee of Wellness.
And do you have some products with you right now that you could show? I mean,
Yeah.
I always say we don't want to be commercial, but we do want to promote what women do. and what women are
Yes.
making. So please, if you could take a moment and just show us a few things.
Happy to. So this is sweet orange. Let me see if I can get a little
There you
closer,
go.
from
Nice.
Greece.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite inexpensive oils because, some things you go to put them in in one of your products and you're like, something you're making or a gift and you're like, okay, 5 drops, that's going to be the end of that one. And with something like orange, it's really inexpensive, it's uplifting, and you can put it in, honestly, this is one of the oils I cook with. I don't cook with very many essential oils. I don't ingest them. Yeah, but if you're going to make a pan of brownies, whether they're hemp brownies, cannabis brownies, plain brownies, you can put about 10 drops of sweet orange in there, and it is delightful.
So what does it do exactly? Is it is purely a flavor thing? Is there some sort of effect?
If you mix it in, it is really just a flavor thing. I mean, the flavor can be really invigorating because you're like, whoa, those are orange brownies, but orange and chocolate is fantastic. So it's a nice way to introduce that in.
Well, since we're talking about cooking, and by the way, Janice, who is here listening today, is a nutritionist and a cookbook author and cannabis chef, I guess, is what you might say.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not misrepresenting you, Janice. But since we're on the cooking front, what are a few other essential oils that you have cooked with or that you can cook with?
I occasionally will put lime oil in guacamole.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't have limes, I'll just go for my bottle of lime oil and just go very light, very, very light. Peppermint in those brownies instead of orange works.
Right. What about lavender? Like lavender in cooking?
Lavender, I occasionally will muddle some lemonade with but honestly, I don't usually use lavender oil unless I'm completely out of fresh lavender.
Oh, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a good point.
Because oils are very, very strong, and so ingesting is not the top. It's really not a highly recommended way to use them in the aromatherapy world.
Well, so you need to dilute. And I remember this from very early on when I started to learn about essential oils. Talk about the need for diluting, how you dilute, and why. It's being so strong is probably the main reason, right?
Absolutely. So when I first started with essential oils, I was purchasing from an MLM. And I think a lot of people, that's how we came into this, because those companies just made them available worldwide. And had it not been for it was actually doTERRA is the company I was part of, or a consultant for, or whatever. That information is just it can be a very generically delivered. It's not specific to one person's ailment and all of that. So I was just, when you're really new, you can read, add 10 drops of this, 10 drops of that. And if the graphic looks educational, and you don't know any better, you do it, or at least I did, because I didn't know any better. Yes, multi-level marketing is MLM. Thank you. And so that is how I got started, and it was great, but no one taught me proper dilution. People, I was told to put lemon in my water, which I was giving to my daughter.
And the lemon oil.
The lemon oil, yes.
Okay.
Well, oil and water don't mix. So that was not great advice. And she actually ended up with stomach aches over it. And that's when I realized that, wait, it's the lemon, Yeah, so that was a little...
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry to interrupt. It just occurred to me. It's like this little light bulb went off. So I've tried some of the doTERRA products as well, and they are sort of easy and accessible, but you're right, there's not a lot of explanation. And they have one that is a immune system booster, and you're supposed to be able to put it in some water. And when I did, you're right, oil and water don't mix. I was looking at it, was rising to the surface. I couldn't get it to mix. And then when I took a sip, it was kind of caustic. It was sort of burning and uncomfortable. And then you can't get that taste out of your mouth because it's an oil and because water's not going to really wash it away. So,
right.
And Kimberly's saying some people dilute and then put it on the bottom of children's feet. That was the one thing that I did do especially for my
Yes.
kids when they were going to daycare and kindergarten, the
Mhm.
petri dish of of your
Yes.
child's world. And I would rub it on the bottoms of their feet, which is kind of a weird, counterintuitive thing you would think,
Well,
but
it does travel through that way. And
right,
dilution,
it gets
yes.
into your bloodstream. And the way that I learned about that was you break open a clove of garlic and rub it on the bottom of your feet, and in a few seconds you taste it in your mouth.
I've heard that, but never tried it. I
Yes,
have a
I
ton of
did it.
garlic in there. I'm going for it.
Okay, I did try it. It was like, whoa, but it really did work. And
Yeah.
so that was, yeah. Okay, back to why dilute, how to dilute.
Yes, they are very strong. And I was another thing I was taught was to put it straight on my hands and rub it on my neck. But
Oh,
no one taught me to dilute. So as I got into the, learning more and working with licensed aromatherapists, they were like, dilute, dilute, dilute. So, and what that does is just, you mix it with the carrier oil
okay.
and that lightens the amount of the strong oil that you're using, the concentrated oil that you're using. So for children, I usually do about 1%. For like face and hands, I usually do about 2%.
So that's percent of oil of essential oil to the carrier oil.
Right.
So
And it can be
very,
jojoba oil, coconut oil. Yes, yes.
okay.
And, if you don't get the effects you're going for, you can always add a little bit more, but it's definitely better to start lighter and work your way up than to start very heavily like I did originally, because I didn't know any better.
Yeah, yeah. So oils, you had mentioned jojoba oil, coconut oil. I've seen almond oil. What are,
Yes.
I would think olive oil might not, because usually olive oil, unless it's made a certain way, is pretty olivey or
Mhm.
super earthy already. I
It
mean, is
is.
that anything that you would use as well?
Not unless I do not have another
Any
carrier
other?
oil on hand. If I have someone who's not feeling well in the house and I need to apply some oil and I can't find my carrier oil, sure, I'll use a little bit of olive oil,
Okay.
but
Okay,
it's
that makes sense.
definitely not the first choice.
Got it. Hey, if anybody who is watching live right now would like to ask some questions, feel free to use the comment section if you can access it, and just chat in, type in your question, and we will be getting to those questions as we go along. So blending your essential oils, I know that you can actually purchase blends, or you can purchase sort of your single uh, oil. If you're doing it yourself, is there a right way or a wrong way of doing that, of blending them?
No, no, really, it's personal preference. As long as you're diluting them before you put them on, then it is personal preference. And Kathy, the website is jubileeofwellness.com.
I'm typing it in for you right now.
Thank you.
Jubileeofwellness.com.
I do sometimes mix essential oils into a lotion, not as often because in case there's some kind of, if I don't know exactly what's in the lotion, I don't know how the oils are going to blend in, but I do make a lot of salves. So like solid coconut oil is fantastic. Like I can throw on a pot of hot water, a glass bowl, put a scoop of shea butter, scoop of coconut oil, some vegetable wax beads, and mix that in, let it melt, take it off the heat, and then add some essential oils at about, if I'm going to apply it topically like that, and if it's for an adult, probably about about 5, maybe 10% tops for essential oils.
Okay, and I don't know if you have the definition, the difference between a salve versus a cream and lotion. Do you know what that is offhand? Because I just looked it up in case.
No, please tell me, because honestly, I've never like broken that down.
Yeah, and I had never done that either. But the more I was reviewing CBD topicals, some would say salve, some would say balm, some would say cream, some would say lotion, and I would be like, well, what's the difference? The salves, they're considered a solid combination of oils and a wax, like soy wax or beeswax. Now, you just mentioned vegetable wax. Is that what
Yes,
you
you
said?
can buy vegetable wax pellets. I have a lot of vegan friends, and they don't want beeswax.
Or,
So I can,
yeah, okay, interesting.
yeah,
But soy wax, would that work for a vegan?
yes.
Okay.
I've not used soy wax, but yeah, that would work for vegans.
Okay, and then the creams and the lotions do not have that wax. They're often thicker, a different kind of texture. I mean, if you think about a lotion or a cream, it's maybe a little silkier, or a salve, because it's got the oils and the wax, it might at first be a little bit more solid, and then with the heat up from your hands, it could then become a little bit more oily. That makes sense.
Yes.
That's exactly what
Yes.
I've experienced as I've tried.
Yes.
But I thought that was kind of interesting because there are distinct differences simply because of what's in them. And then you can often tell by texture. A lotion or a cream won't sort of have that melt into your skin type of reaction. So,
right.
So, okay, we've got Dana's like, she's most interested in hearing how to incorporate essential oils with cannabis. Now, I do know in the state you're at right now, cannabis is not legal. So you talk mostly
Correct.
from a hemp standpoint, hemp obviously being part of the cannabis sativa plant. Just a slight variation of that, it tends to be low in THC, higher in CBD. So, but what we're talking about and what you're about to probably talk about now, the properties of essential oils and terpenes can really affect cannabis and how it reacts within your body, and the cannabinoids. For anyone who's brand new, let me just quickly say, we have the endocannabinoid system within our body. It's a system that lays over all the other systems and is sort of like the modulator, the air traffic controller of operations in our body. Easy way to say it. It's made up of all these little receptors. These receptors are very open to receiving chemical compounds in plants, plant medicine, the foods we eat. And in cannabis and in hemp, there are cannabinoids and terpenes, two of the main chemical compounds that interact with our body, particularly these receptors, or they interact with each other to create specific effects. And so there are terpenes that we know can enhance the effects of cannabis or some of these cannabinoids, even CBD, and some that could hinder it, and some that have their own kinds of effects that may help enhance all the effects of anything we're taking in. Okay, that was the quick lesson. Let's talk about how to enhance your plant medicine with essential oils.
Yes. So, if you are in a heightened state, whether that be because you are just running a marathon, or whether that be because you're using cannabis in your state where it's legal, aromatherapy is going to be even more, enjoyable. It can really change the mood, the feelings, and really what aromatherapy is our brain connecting to that smell, those terpenes. What does that do for you? And so if you are wanting to relax, it doesn't even have to be complicated. You can do something as simple as open a bottle and just close your eyes and just really spend a few minutes sitting with an oil and see what feelings that oil brings on for you, because we're all different. We all have different memories. We all have different reactions to different plants, different medications. And so I can tell you that lavender is relaxing for most people. You may smell lavender and think, I'm gonna go for a walk, I mean, it's very hard to, I guess, pinpoint exactly what an oil is going to do for you. But we do have recommendations of combinations, blends that normally have this effect or can inspire this feeling. And I mean, aromatherapy is really as simple as just smelling essential oils.
So cannabis and hemp can have terpenes that are also present in a lot of these essential oils. So I know that lavender has a terpene called linalool, and it is not exactly sedating, but it is relaxing, can be relaxing to your nervous system. And I find it interesting that cannabis does have it as well. But here's the thing. it depends on the strain, how it's grown or how it's been extracted or how it's been processed after. So it may or may not have a lot of linalool. Linalool is not typically the most abundant terpene in all different strains, but there are strains, and I can't think of any offhand, like the names, I never remember the names, but there are some that would be heavier in linalool. But if you had cannabis that was not heavy in linalool, but you wanted to enhance that relaxing effect, whether it be a topical that you apply, I would suspect that by adding lavender to a cannabis oil that you're putting on, or a cannabis salve, or a hemp or CBD salve, that would enhance. And it's, I believe, also anti-inflammatory. So topically it would help.
It is. And it's also very good for skin. So like adding lavender and frankincense, you know, if I'm have some sitting around in my bathroom on my counter, like I might put a couple drops of frankincense and just put that in as I put my face lotion on, and just breathe it in. I mean, no matter what you're doing, you don't have to do anything fabulous to enjoy essential oils. So whatever your habits are, you know, when you're partaking, if that's when you're using essential oils, I mean, just there are some that are invigorating. There are some that are relaxing. And I actually, I made a little chart and put it on my Facebook group. So people can go check it out and print it out if they'd like.
How do we get to your Facebook group? So it would be facebook.com/group/ what is
Jubilee of Wellness.
Oh, also. Okay. Yeah. That's so smart.
Yeah, thank you.
So I do know also, so say that you're making topicals. And by the way, on Sunday, we have an author coming in, and I don't want to mispronounce her name, so I'm just going to say she's the author of many books, including CBD for Every Day. And she's going to talk about specifically making CBD salves. Awesome. But I do know also that limonene, which is found in the citrus, so that could most often be a lemon or orange, that limonene or limonene, I think people call it limonene as well, that can help with absorption, not just sort of a mood boost, like citrus can give you a uplift, but also helps with absorption. So you had mentioned to me before we began that you are now adding terpenes into your essential oils. Explain like what you're adding to which oils and what the purpose is.
And so when I blend those, I usually blend those in a diffuser. I'm like, when you buy an essential oil, it's just a pure essential oil. There's nothing added to it, nothing taken out of it. But when I'm making a diffuser blend, instead of reaching for my sweet orange, I might reach for the limonene. You know, I might reach for myrcene, and I just started using those in my diffuser several months ago, and I love it because it's just so unique. I never knew that would be a possibility.
Okay. So how do the terpenes come? I've never.
Sure, I'll show you.
I've never really purchased.
So I haven't put a lot of these on my website yet. I think I might have a starter kit on there. If not, you can email me, message me on Facebook. But I have these little 5 ml bottles. And so this one is linalool. And so I can just add this to whatever blend I'm putting in my diffuser. Or if I'm making a salve, I have beta-caryophyllene. And when I make my pain relief salve, which I believe Kia was asking about pain relief.
Oh, right. Pain, anxiety, and tension. She sits at the computer all the time, and she has a lot of neck tension. So you would recommend that terpene?
Yes, I make a salve, and I'm sure your guest on Sunday will be able to talk on this also, or we'll probably hit somewhere near it. When I make a pain relief salve, I have my blend in there that's called Mystic Blue, and it has wintergreen, has frankincense, it has camphor, has all these really strong oils that help release tension. And then I also add CBD to that. And my mom is my guinea pig. Okay, so when she has an ailment, I'm like, all right, mom, I'm on it. So I go home and I do my research, and I'm like, what does she need? I'm like, oh, beta caryophyllene. Yeah, let's put some of that in it. You know, I mean, I dilute it properly, but I create a blend that gives her relief. And she's my tester. She's my guinea pig. And if it doesn't work, she's like, well, that didn't work as well as the last thing you made me. So when I started adding beta caryophyllene and adding humulene to her
humulene, right? Humulene.
Humulene.
Thank you.
Yes, that extra U always gets me.
I know. Yeah.
That has been the best thing for her. So now that salve, like right now, I make it safely in my home, and so it's smaller scale. But I'm working on. I'm recently spoken to a manufacturer about kicking it up a notch, you know, and getting it made in a facility so I have it more readily available, because it works so well for her. That beta caryophyllene and the humulene in that blend with the Mystic Blue and the CBD is just fantastic for pain relief.
Yeah, that is so interesting. I've really been looking more into terpenes to figure out, you know, how those will affect any products that I'm purchasing. I'm not making any myself, but I always read the ingredients and noticing what other terpenes might be in something, because each of the terpenes can have additional effects. I've heard, although some people say it's purely anecdotal and really no scientific basis, but I tend to, if I hear it from enough people, believe it, that myrcene can enhance your cannabis intake. So, and also I would venture to guess, if you are taking in CBD oil, CBD, like vaping CBD flower or smoking CBD, hemp flower, this is the proper way of saying it, hemp flower, which will be high in CBD, or cannabis. Again, I'm trying to make sure I address all
two
legal,
worlds.
legal
Yes.
and illegal places. Always do what's legal in your area.
That's right.
So that that myrcene is supposed to intensify the effects. Now, when you are smoking a hemp cigarette, for example, and there are some really, really lovely pre-rolls now that are being made. And I have to say, mostly the ones I've seen and come across are made by women. And they are incredible blends, almost like magical and mystical blends, really. They're the whole way that they market themselves as well, of hemp flower and herbs. And so it could be a little bit of lavender flower, and a lot of things that I didn't even think that you could combust and inhale. So I thought that was really interesting, the kinds of new products that are coming out, even on the hemp line, which can be sold more readily than the THC type products. But they were blending different herbs. So somebody's asking, anything to help with migraines? Do you have any experience with that?
I do. And I kind of have 3 answers for that.
Oh, good.
Because I have several people who have come to me with they've had constant migraines. And so I really wanted to help them get to the source and find out what was causing their migraines. And I will say where we started was with hydration.
Good point.
The second thing that we stepped into, the second thing I recommended and that we worked on that really seemed to help was kombucha, because a lot of the times the migraines are caused by an imbalance in our gut. Yeah. Wow. So if we don't have the right flora going around doing its work, then that actually affects a lot of our wellness, and it often causes migraines. And so, yes, that has been, I have one of my sister-in-laws is, she's very, she's a principal, she's Dr. Finn, she does not do a lot of plant medicine. And, but we enjoy each other's differences and we help each other. If I'm like, hey, I need to write this paper, can we sit down for an hour? She's like, yeah, of course, I got you. And she was suffering from migraines. And I had sent her some kombucha that I was making at the time. And she's like, this might be crazy, but my headaches are lessening. And so we kind of, looked into that, and I had a few other people that came to me, and sure enough, between water, kombucha, or, probiotics to get that healthy gut going, it can be like homemade sauerkraut. But if it really needs to be a true probiotic, if you're buying it off the shelf at the grocery store, it's not going to work like a live sauerkraut or a live kombucha. And then CBD. That pain salve that I talked about, that one is really good for migraines, but definitely start with the hydration and the gut health, and then move to the CBD and essential oils, the pain relief.
So the CBD that you would say, where would you put the salve, and what else is in the salve in terms of essential oils? That the one that you would think would work well on migraines?
Well, we know that CBD itself, soothes and kind of helps us drop our shoulders and relax and takes the edge off the stress that we may be feeling day to day. And so along with that CBD, I always recommend taking CBD internally if you can, taking it sublingually, and then use a topical along with that. So the pain relief salve that we just talked about with the humulene and the beta-caryophyllene and the essential oil blend, that has been the #1 product that I have recommended and had a lot of good feedback for.
And the essential oils in that one are, which ones again?
It's frankincense, wintergreen, camphor. I mean, honestly, there's about 8 of them. I would have to.
Okay.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, no, but and so frankincense. Tell me a little bit more about that, because isn't it extremely precious and expensive? I do know that it is amazing. So my 3 favorite essential oils: lavender, ylang ylang, and frankincense. They speak to me so strongly. But tell us a little more about frankincense.
So part of the reason frankincense can be expensive is because it takes so long for the resin to happen in a tree. So you can't just go to a field of frankincense flowers, because it's not a thing, they don't exist. Like lavender, you can grow a field of lavender, you can harvest the lavender, you can plant it, you can harvest again the next year. Frankincense, that tree has to grow, I think it's 20 years. Don't quote me on that one, I could be wrong. But it takes a long time for that tree to get to a place where you can harvest the resin. Also, frankincense obviously does not really grow in the US. That's not it. If it does grow out west, I don't know about it, but it certainly is not something that you're going to plant, in your yard. Like it's not native here. So the frankincense I carry is from Somalia. And, make sure it's sustainably harvested. Having an independent company, I get to say, I have a lot more say, and which oils I'm purchasing to put my label on. I can look at an oil and say, not that one. I'm not going to carry that one. I'm going to carry this one. And honestly, my frankincense is only $58. And it's a high quality, good frankincense. Now, I can get you a $200 bottle of frankincense if you want, but it's not necessary to get the results, So frankincense is very grounding. It's very good for cell regeneration. So I do put it in my face salve. I make my own salve that I use for a night cream, which has CBD, frankincense, jewel weed that I harvested from my yard, those types of things.
What was that called? That was
jewel weed, JEWEL, WEED. I don't know if it grows out west, but it grows here in the Midwest. Like it's on the it grows wild. Like it popped up in my yard. I fell in love with it when I found out what it was, and I was like, oh, I wish I had some jewel weed. And I swear the next spring it popped up in my yard.
Ask and we shall receive.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So but it's a wild plant. It's an impatient, and it spreads like wildfire. So I started with 1 plant. The very next year I had like 200 plants.
Oh my God.
All in my landscaping. And I was like, don't touch it. I'm going to harvest it in 2 months, So I let it take over. I harvested it. I infused it with hemp seed oil, jojoba oil, And I just made my own oils with it, and I just love it.
And what does it do? Like, what is it good for?
That is very good for any kind of skin condition. So if you
Oh.
have psoriasis, if you have poison ivy, anything like that, and it's also like a good skin food. It's just very nutritious for your skin. So,
And then if you add in the CBD, that's even more beneficial to your skin as well. Good, really good for skin inflammation, irritations, acne.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Kathy is offering you a comfrey plant if you want a comfrey plant.
I would love one. I will. Please list your email or reach out to me. I would absolutely love that. Thank you.
Wow, that's really interesting. So typically I live in Alaska right now. I'm in the Tacoma area, and growing season is very short but long days. However, I keep on thinking I want to grow some of these things myself and learn how to make things. I mean, that's just a lofty goal. But the moose come into the yard and eat everything.
Okay.
It is
I
so
cannot
hard
imagine a moose coming into my yard.
It is so hard to keep the moose out. I mean, my husband just was so proud because he just bought a rose bush and planted it in our yard. And the next morning, all the little flowers were gone. They had a special treat. So I don't know.
They said thank you.
Yeah, they did. They were just like, love. But don't think I'm going to be growing anything anytime soon. So your favorite oil, I told you my favorite oils. What are your favorite oils and why?
Spruce. I love spruce.
Oh, wow.
So I did get to live in Denver for a little while, and I got to live in San Diego for a while, and I got to travel up to Muir Woods, and I've gotten a taste of out west, and I absolutely loved it. But my family's here in the Midwest, so I came back. And spruce to me, I mean, if I open a bottle of spruce and I just take a deep breath and inhale it, like I just feel like I am surrounded by old forest. And I just love it. It is just such a beautiful smell to me. And so one of the favorite blends I make just for my diffuser is spruce, sweet orange, and frankincense.
Wow.
And to me, that is just the best of all the worlds. Like those are really my top three, my favorite oils.
So then diffuser, you're mentioning a diffuser. What kind of diffuser do you have, or do you have several kinds? What do you recommend?
I do have one on my website. I will say it is hard to find a company that has good customer service with diffusers. It took me about 6 months. So, I would want to carry them wholesale. I'm like, hey, I need good customer service for my customers. I need to know that there's a warranty. What do you offer? And they're like, we'll sell you this. I'm like, yes. But what's your warranty? We'll sell you this. So it took me months, and I finally found a company. Oh gosh, let me remember the name. ZAQ. So I have them on my.
Okay.
Yes, I have them on my website, and they have been such a pleasure to work with. So that's beneficial.
That's so important, and it's still so overlooked. Customer service. Now, in terms of sourcing essential oils, your company has essential oils that you have sourced from other places and that you brought them under sort of one roof under Jubilee of Wellness. Did I say that right?
Yes.
So people could buy essential oils from you. Where do you not want to buy essential oils? Like what are some warnings and caveats? So for example, we always say, don't buy CBD products off of Amazon.
Oh yes.
Because first of all, they're not allowed to carry CBD. So they misrepresent themselves anyway. And it's usually hemp seed oil. Hemp seed oil does not contain CBD naturally. So it can be very misleading. There's a lot of places that are very misleading. But what are some caveats when you're going out to purchase some essential oils?
So like you said, Amazon, I tell people, like I watched a video on how to switch out the cap on an essential oil. You can order a bag of them and switch them out for like 26 cents each. So someone can say, hey, I have a bottle of Jubilee essential oil. I'll sell it to you for $10 less than she's selling it on her website. But what they've actually done is taken off the lid, diluted, divided it up in several oils, put some fraction of coconut oil in there, put the lid back on. That's what they do on Amazon.
Mm.
Blew me away. I just can't imagine treating people that way, blows me away. So there's that. There's like Walgreens, when you go into just a regular retail store, there's no law that says there has to be lavender in your lavender oil. Like,
oh gosh, yeah.
They normally use linalool, which is only one, it's one terpene, and they're going to use a very low grade at that to make it smell like lavender. But there does not have to be any actual lavender in there. So, unfortunately, false essential oils are quite common, and unless you've had a good quality essential oil, you probably don't actually know what lavender smells like, unfortunately. Like when you
true, because if you think about it, you could get all sorts of different lavender products: a lavender candle, a lavender soap, lavender lotion, lavender deodorant, and so much of it smells very perfumey, which when you smell actual lavender, it is not a strong perfumey smell. It's more earthy, I guess, is how I might describe it.
Yes, absolutely. Those are mostly synthetic copies of the chemical makeup of lavender. So they can make it smell lavenderish, but it's not a true lavender. And of course, within synthetics, that's your body's not going to react to that like it does a true essential oil.
That's true. And you could have adverse reactions. You could be allergic. And you could also be allergic to some essential oils, though, couldn't you?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Talk a little bit about testing it out safely and understanding what kinds of reactions might happen.
Right. I'll say the only person I've ever had have a bad reaction she had scrubbed her face really good. She was doing like a cleanse. And then she had put some really strong essential oils that were not diluted well enough onto her freshly scrubbed skin. It puffed up. I mean, I almost, when she sent me pictures, I about fell out of my chair. And I'll be honest, that's when I was still with, that was a doTERRA product. Like I was so ashamed that I sold her a product that could do that to her. And again, I did not get proper education on how to use that product. Right. So that is one thing I tell people is start low and start slow. Make sure it's diluted. Never just open a bottle and sprinkle it on your skin. And you can honestly just put it on your clothes. Like I might get in my car and just sprinkle a bottle of essential oils in my vehicle instead of putting it directly on my skin.
And you would still get some beneficial effects. That story you just told reminds me of my daughter, 13. She saw tea tree oil, and her tea tree oil is really good with acne. And so she had a lot across her face. She took pure tea tree oil and just spread it all over her face. And it was like a caustic chemical burn. It was raw. It was screaming painful. It was puffed up and red. It was horrible. And, kind of like anything you put on it only just made it worse. I'm putting you on the spot. Offhand, sure. What could we have put on it to dilute or minimize the damage that it was doing and the pain, and et cetera?
Straight coconut oil and go to the hospital. Like if it's that type of situation, straight coconut oil, and you really might need to see a doctor,
Yeah. Because I think we just diluted. I kept saying, water's not going to do it. Water's not going to do it. You're supposed to dilute with oil. And I think I just grabbed the coconut oil. This was a while ago. And she has healed. She's learned her lesson. No straight oils like that at all. And always ask mom before you put anything on your skin. Some nice oils diluted on your, would be peppermint, lavender, and orange on your face, I guess. Is that what you're saying? Or on your mask? Oh, are we talking about your mask as in your protective mask?
I bet she is. Okay. So yes, I definitely do that on my cloth mask. I do put a drop of oil, and it doesn't take much. And you just kind of walk through smiling under that mask instead of thinking, And
also a lot of these essential oils are antibacterial, antimicrobial. Uh,
Absolutely.
and those potentially, these are not cure-alls. There is absolutely no way to 100% block all of this. But I would think that having some essential oils with those properties could be very beneficial on a cloth mask. For anyone who's watching this in the future, hopefully not so distant future, we happen to be filming right now during the pandemic. Most of us are still sheltering at home. If we do go outside, most of us are wearing masks, cloth masks, or otherwise P100s. And so when we talk about cloth masks, I don't know, it'd be weird if months from now, years from now, masks are just a normal part of our everyday. I don't know.
I have friends who live overseas, and some of the places they live, masks are a part of everyday living when you go out, because the air becomes so polluted at a certain point that you need a mask, or you're gonna
Well,
you're
that's
gonna damage your
true.
lungs.
For pollution, masks have been uh, required to be healthy in certain places, not necessarily around virus, but around pollution. You're right. There are some places. We're in a very strange time, a very scary time, a very stressful time. What are some of the essential oils that you would recommend during this time, whether it be simply to
Yes.
smell or to blend in with something that you're using on your skin?
Okay. And like we mentioned, I did put a chart on Jubilee of Wellness in Facebook. And I'll go ahead and read off a few of these because I kind of entertained myself with adding aphrodisiacs to this list.
Oh, okay.
Okay. For de-stressing, bergamot,
I like
clary sage. Yes, that's another one of my
didn't even
favorites.
think of that because I drink Earl Grey tea
Mhm.
and love it. So I limit myself to one cup of coffee and then I have Earl Grey tea for in the afternoons and I smell it first. And I didn't even occur to
Yes,
me bergamot. Yes, I like it too.
it's is a fantastic oil. I
Okay, so
like to mix it with
de-stress.
lime.
Hmm,
Mhm.
interesting.
If I'm wanting something that's just kind of invigorating but soothing, bergamot and lime are a lot of fun. And by the way, I do not have lime on my website, but if you email me, if there's an oil that's not on my website, sometimes I just haven't created the label for it yet. I introduce them slowly, because it's just me.
It's just
So
you.
so
So
as
I'm
I
putting your email in here right now, and it's Michele with one L, Jubilee at jubileewellness.com, correct?
yes,
Okay, there we
yes,
go.
thank you.
Sure.
Chamomiles are nice and relaxing.
Mm.
I actually do have a blue chamomile. If you want to email me about that one, it's a Roman chamomile,
Okay.
and I also have a blue tansy. Those are really good ones. Lavender, of course, is
Yeah.
very soothing. If you want something uplifting, clary sage is uplifting, as are the citrus oils like
Mm.
grapefruit and sweet orange and lemon. One of my aunts used to ask me to make her roller bottles. Let me see if I do have roller bottle close by. This
Oh,
blend
yeah.
is called Zen Flow, but this is already diluted. So it's a mostly fractionated coconut oil with just enough essential oil to do the job, but not hurt you because it's ready for skin application. So
Okay.
go ahead
Okay.
and show you this little
And I like
guitar.
those roller applications a lot, especially.
Yes.
So we were talking earlier about neck tension, stress, being at the computer. They're so much easier to apply. And then with my hair, I don't have to worry about it getting onto, I can just reach and you can get better reach, better direct application with those roller applicators. I really like them. I think they're very effective. I've also
Me too.
recently started receiving CBD skincare products, eye serums that are in the roller, which is really nice as well because you can very gently roll on the sort of tender skin. Like
Yes, that
it's
is
really nice.
brilliant. I'm
Yeah,
working
it's
on a
really good.
serum right now, and like it's so fun working with chemists, working with a lab, because I'm like, okay, I'm a tree hugger. I know these herbs do this. I need you to do the math. I need you to make sure it's a proper carrier, and can we make this? And they're like,
Mm.
sure. And it's a lot of fun because they don't really always know about the herbs other than just CBD or just hemp or just cannabis.
Mhm.
They're not always familiar with the other herbal properties. So it's really fun to work together with labs and create those products.
Well, somebody said, so Kimberly was saying to put the rollers in the fridge so they're cold, but if it is a coconut oil base, that's going to solidify, won't it?
Not with fractionated coconut oil.
Not
It
with
shouldn't.
fractionated. Okay. All right.
I've
Well, then that
never
makes sense.
mentioned, yeah, I've never thought about putting them in the refrigerator, but if it's a stressful hot day and you need to cool off, I can see how that could be really relieving,
Yeah, really
really
refreshing.
relaxing.
I remember back in the day when I was pregnant, coconut butter and shea butter products, if you put into the fridge, they would cool. That would be soothing, but then as it touched your skin, the warmth of your skin would then just melt it enough to absorb. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, under eye treatment. Under eye treatment.
Awesome.
Okay. Huh. Okay. So I think she's saying using the rollers in the fridge so they're cold, and the cold would be good for under eye treatment. I believe that's what
Yeah,
she's mentioning.
that sounds nice.
Yeah, that sounds really good. We're probably coming toward the end of the time, but I know you have a few more to describe. Describe those. If anyone else has any questions, please do include them. If by any chance you had questions and they're way up in the chat and that we've missed them, if you don't mind repeating them, I'll start scrolling through. But go ahead and talk about a few more of these on the chart that's on your website.
Sure. For stimulation, like mental stimulation, like if you're working at the computer and you need something to keep you going, rosemary is fantastic for that.
Okay, I love rosemary too. Oh my
I do too.
gosh. What is it? I think the unifying thread for the ones that I love is an earthiness and a groundedness to them or something. I don't know, but I love
Yes.
that. I love that one too.
That might be apinine. It might be the apinine that you're really into.
Apinine being one of the terpenes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is. I'm going to have to look up that up. So in our book, Cannabis and CBD for Health and Wellness, Dr. June Chen and I did break down some of the terpenes and some of the cannabinoids as well, and explaining what they're finding in studies that it can be good for. So that's really helpful. I need to go study my own book.
Yes, I have your book. I love it. Thank you. It was
Oh,
before I had even become part of Ellementa. You know, I
so
had watched
cool.
one of the webinars and I was like, oh, I need that. And it's a very
Yay.
good book. You all did a great job.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I mean, when I started reading, I was kind of a newbie, but even as I've become much more experienced and gained, more knowledge, there's still so much in there and I still get to keep learning. So thank you for that.
Oh gosh, thank you. That was what we were hoping. And that it's perfect for the newbie, but also really good for someone very experienced who just doesn't have all the details down for why cannabis is medicine. And essential oils are medicine. They really
They
have
are.
medicinal properties. A
Yes.
couple of more. Do you want to list a few more?
Sure.
Because this is
For
always
the
fun. I love them.
aphrodisiacs,
Oh, okay.
jasmine, of course,
Hmm.
clary sage, sandalwood, and cedarwood.
Sandalwood and cedarwood. Wow, I don't think I would have ever thought of those. Okay. Very
You know,
interesting.
they do put cedarwood in a lot of the men's blends. And
Oh,
I
that's
think that's
true.
so we'll find them attractive, or so
But
someone will.
also sandalwood. Actually, also sandalwood. My husband does
Mhm.
like sandalwood. He likes the smell of sandalwood, and I like the smell of sandalwood on him.
Yes, yes.
Very interesting. I hadn't even thought of that. Huh. Okay. Oh, another one that I like is rose.
Yes, yes. Actually, rose is on the uplifting, and it's also one of the aphrodisiacs.
Okay.
That is a very
Interesting.
good, beautiful oil. And I do carry a rose hydrosol, so it doesn't last as
What's a
long as a
hydrosol?
true.
What is that?
So it's steamed petals, and it's the water. The hydro is the water.
Okay.
So instead of it being an oil that's been extracted, the petals are collected and they are lightly steamed, and then the water from that steam is the hydrosol. It's
Oh, okay.
fabulous. I mean, I mist it on my sheets at night before I climb in, and then I'm like, boom.
Well, it's interesting. I've got this beautiful skincare line from a company called Priya Apotheca, also woman-owned. They're very much into herbs and CBD. Their face cream, which I use at night, has rose in it, and it is exquisite. The smell of it is just like magical. And even my husband reacts to it. Whenever I do use it, he's like, there's that smell again. What is it? I'm like, it's rose. Oh, yeah. So it's so interesting how powerful essential oils and aromatherapy, the smell of them can be, the absorption of them into your skin, how powerful that can be. It's plant medicine. And I think it's been so commercialized in so many ways, and like you say, so much synthetic product and ingredient that it dilutes the value of it. But when you really have good essential oils, you're dealing with some very, very, very powerful stuff.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. One of the things that I love about what I do is sometimes, working for myself is really stressful. I'm trying to balance out kids, taking care of my mom, all of these things. And the other day I had an order to fill, and I was like, okay, I need to get this order filled so I can get it in the mail. I promised I'm going to do this. So I went downstairs and I started blending, and I'm like, oh, my headache was gone. My stress was gone. I was like, I love what I do. I love boxing it up and shipping it off, and getting the emails and the text messages, and like, oh my gosh, before I even just opening the box, it smelled so good. So I love what I do.
Well, that is great. I am so happy to be able to share what you're doing, to hear from other women about what they're experiencing, and to learn something more about essential oils and how to have better wellness through essential oils. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Tell us again how we find you.
Sure. And I did create a coupon for our guest today.
Yes. Okay. Hey. Right. So it's Ellementa Rocks at checkout for 15% off. That's the code.
Yes.
Did I spell it right? Did I do everything?
You did.
Okay, good. Hey, everybody who's still here with us live, you can actually go to her website for 15% off. Use Ellementa Rocks. That's so
and that's my CBD products and the essential oils. And I don't know how much we've gotten to talk about this, but I get to work directly with farmers here in Southern Indiana. And I actually got to help harvest the CBD that goes into my Hoosiers Reserve. So that was just phenomenal.
Amazing. I really like to hear that. That is so great. Yeah. Well, again, thank you. Thanks everyone for being here at ellementa.com/events. You can see what else is coming up. I'm just starting to prepare all the July registration pages, but the rest of the month of June 2020, that's already up. And we're going to be talking about homeopathy coming up, and there's going to be a children's book about gardening and growing cannabis. Yes, for children to learn about the plant cannabis, and for parents to read to them and have the conversation. So lots of great things coming up. I cannot wait. Thanks for being here, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.